I want to share something with you today that may help you understand this entire spiritual journey we as humans experience on Earth. Frank Herbert, the famous and prolific author from the Dune series, said this: "The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience." That's probably the closest I've ever seen anyone come to capturing what it actually means to be a brave soul entering a human life here on the schoolhouse of Earth. When any spiritual seeker opens themselves up to fully embracing and surrendering to the fact that life is a series of mysteries unfolding, that's when everything shifts. That's when you stop trying to figure out everything and really start living from a completely different place of power. I'm Claire Falcon, the host of this podcast, and here's what I come to understand through decades of spiritual study and work with hundreds of clients as a psychic medium. We are souls who deliberately chose to come to Earth in the exact time that we are here. We're coming from a limitless state of consciousness, fully aware of who we are as spiritual beings, connected to universal consciousness. And then we choose to incarnate into these human bodies for maybe 70, 80 years, and we do it with complete spiritual amnesia. We don't remember anything about our spiritual lives. That's the challenge. That is the entire point of coming here. We enter into the extreme highs and lows of what it means to be a human. Loving your parents, your friends, your pets, feeling the beauty of nature, poetry, cooking, learning, all of it. And through all of these experiences, with no memory of who we truly are, we're challenged to still find spiritual alignment and practice discernment. This is what it means to give birth to your spiritual self. Today, we're going to use the buzzwords and go a little bit beyond alignment and discernment. I'm sure that you've heard that many times through your own spiritual journey, talks with your friends, or maybe similar readings or podcasts that you've either read or listened to. They go around in spiritual circles. But what I want you to understand is that what does it actually mean for your soul? How do you recognize when your power and sovereignty is leaking? And what are the practical ways you can read energy and mysteries in your daily life? From sophisticated insights in your birth chart through astrology, all the way up to synchronicities that are happening while you're driving to the grocery store, going to pick up the kids, going to school, you name it, all in the beautiful, mundane human experience. We're covering 3 areas today: understanding your soul's deliberate incarnation journey, learning about the concept of reading and experiencing mystery and the mystical energy is your birthright, and what it really means to live as a truly sovereign soul being. Let me get really clear about something that's often misunderstood. You are first and foremost a spiritual being. No matter what anyone told you, how you experienced this life up until now, your core essence, your divine essence, is one of a spiritual being. You have a limitless connection back to the source of all beauty, all energy, all grace. It's called universal consciousness. And you are bringing that concept into a human life encased in this body, your physical vessel, for a good 70 to 80 years, which is maybe the average span for someone living in the Western world. One of the most understated and underestimated truths of coming here is that when you live from your soul alignment first, your human life naturally becomes beautiful and it becomes profound. It's not the other way around. When you really start to really embrace that you're living out your soul's creative expression in this human body, you enter into such a powerful expression of who you truly are. That's when discernment, recognizing and reading the signs, becomes easier to recognize. And that's when deep, profound alignment starts to happen, where you're operating almost 24/7 from an aligned, balanced source of energy rooted in your soul and in your intuition, expressed through a human life. This is what it means to live from creation. And this is what it means to embrace the mysteries of the universe and live a truly mystical life. So what do alignment and discernment actually mean? Real alignment isn't something you do once a year or on a weekend retreat. It's when you begin to operate from your soul's awareness in your day in, day out life, driving the kids to school, going to meetings, paying your bills, yoga, grocery shopping, all of it. You're learning to read the energy around you when you really start to understand there is more than meets the eye. And here's what's crucial. Learning to read energy is available to everyone. And it's the birthright of each and every human being currently incarnating on Earth. From anyone who is a car salesman all the way up to a deep mystical seer, everyone has this ability. It's a tool and it's a birthright. Now, discernment is your truest and trusted friend when you are navigating all of this, particularly when you are first opening up to understanding there is more than meets the eye. Because you're living in a world where everything of a normal experience tells you that anything you can't see, touch, or feel in a 3D aspect isn't real, because it can't be proven and it can't be understood with our modern means down to its molecular structure. The moment that you start to see that the regular, normal human existence is designed to tell you that all of the soul stuff isn't real or quote unquote normal, that's the moment when you meet a fork in the road. And discernment is what allows you to distinguish between external noise, anxiety-ridden external noise, and dare I even say it, sometimes fabricated means of bringing you off alignment, which is kind of turns into this kind of cul-de-sac of paranoia that gets you to rely more on external advice than internal wisdom, versus what you know to be true from your deeper soul aspect. These are things that must be given birth to in a human experience. Part of the challenge when your soul was choosing this life and looking down from that state of existence between lives in the world of spirit, however you vibrationally want to call that, is that you were up for the challenge of understanding that you would have to give birth to your spiritual self because you would remember nothing of your deep soul roots. These start to come about when you start to pay attention, have dreams of past lives, get readings with psychic mediums like myself, get into reading the tarot, you name it. So how do you actually do all of this? How do you start to read energy in your life? There are so many ways, and they are all available to you right now. You can learn to use astrology to find your soul gifts through your north and south node, understanding the reason why your soul came here, where it's coming from, and where it's going. You can really start to interpret and study your dreams to receive messages for emotional and psychological healing in your human life. Find hints about past lives that you're meant to incorporate in this one, deeply important. And you can begin to really start to understand that these energy capable abilities all around you are all saying the same thing. And that is that there is within the direct environment that you have access to through your intuition, messages, hope, awe, understanding, direction that can lead you on a path where you really start to live from your soul. Now, when you really start to understand this, there are the mysteries that start unfolding in your daily life. Synchronicities that you happen to notice driving down the street or walking, flashes of insight that come out of nowhere when you're in a restaurant paying for your coffee, numbers that start to repeat on license plates, on phones, on billboards, symbols that seem to follow you around throughout your day. Maybe it's on a bumper sticker or a sticker on a door when you walk into the grocery shop, or it's just randomly someone mentions the symbol on that visual sticker or flash or billboard that you happen to catch your eye that morning. They just happen to mention it when you go and are filling up your gas tank. These are all the mysteries that unfold. They are the most basic form of the universe speaking to you. Now, one thing that I really love to tell people is that is always available. It's just that you are starting to understand, to raise your awareness and raise your consciousness, that it is revealed to you. It's not as if it suddenly appeared and was there because you started looking for it. That's not really how this works. It's simply that you began and were dedicated enough to raise your awareness and consciousness that you saw through the veil, as someone like to call it, that you were able to see and connect to the energy that was already there for you. So these are all of the mysteries unfolding, from the highest expression, like sophisticated aspects in your astrological birth chart that you can study for a lifetime and still delve incredible information from, all the way to noticing mysteries in your ordinary life, driving around town, having a conversation, seeing something in your day and then mysteriously dreaming about it at night. When you begin to really embrace reading this energy, you enter into an incredible source of power and sovereignty for both your human life and your soul. Here's what this looks like in practice. When you're living from the soul alignment and practicing discernment, you no longer ask yourself, how do I live a spiritual life? You're simply operating from a knowledge that sounds more like this. I am living a life expressed from my deepest soul power and awareness of the highest creative expression that allows my human life to have beauty and profound happiness and meaning. That's a totally different avenue that intermediate or advanced students of spirituality enter into when they open themselves up to the mysteries of this beautiful experience. And here's something that's very timely. Part of the reason why I was inspired to record this today. Astrologically, we are in the last 3 months of 2025, and we have just 2 days ago experienced Pluto coming back into direct motion out of retrograde. What you can ask yourself at this time period is that wherever your power and sovereignty has been leaking the past 3 months, or wherever you've noticed it's not running at its highest creative expression, now is an astrological time to look at that and be very aware of how you can rectify it. This is also reading the energy and reading the mysteries. You have an opportunity to really go back and readjust so that coming into understanding where can you reclaim your power again will allow you to walk into 2026 with a very different understanding and with a very different soul alignment. Astrology is one of the very unique tools to allow you to come back into alignment that is ancient and that has many layers of understanding how you can be in alignment and live from your greatest soul strength. When you have that shift of awareness happen in you, that discernment, that living in alignment, that deeper connection to your soul being, you can meet the world where it's at and it doesn't weigh you down. You accept that's where the world is and you accept where you are, a sovereign, powerful, conscious being, ready to walk the road of what it means to be a powerful, sovereign soul being, incarnating here on earth. I work with people from all walks of life, graphic designers, teachers, business executives, homemakers, you name it. And I've seen this transformation happen over and over. They start noticing the mysteries. Maybe they're drawn into understanding their birth chart, and they start paying attention to their dreams, or they begin seeing the same symbols appear everywhere. One client kept seeing the same animal everywhere for weeks, billboards, conversations, someone's t-shirt, the coffee shop, everywhere. When we explore what the animals symbolize for our own spiritual journey, everything clicked into place and everything began to be understood as a weaving of energy that allowed her to understand it, integrate it, and feel so much more confident about her life's direction. This is what we mean when we say discern the signs. This is what we mean when we say live in alignment. And it is all available to you simply by being a powerful soul being incarnating in a human life. Here's a little framework for you to keep in mind. When you live in alignment with your soul, when you understand everything that we've talked about, and when you practice this discernment, distinguishing between what the external world screams at you versus what your soul knows to be true, you begin to live from your highest creative expression, that soul sovereignty. You become a deeply powerful soul being that remembers why it came to earth, remembers the gifts and attributes it was meant to share in this incarnation, as well as the challenges and emotional and psychological work it was meant to meet. That's when you stop being weighed down by the world and start being the powerful force you came here to be, which we all know and can recognize that we desperately need. The biggest, maybe, deterrent I see people make is thinking spirituality is something you do occasionally, or it's something that you have to really strive to meet, and that it's necessary to follow a guru, or it's necessary to have maybe a powerful, even strenuous spiritual awakening. Maybe it's you go to a retreat once a year, you meditate when you remember, you check your horoscope when things get tough. But the real spiritual power comes from the daily practice of coming back to your core intention. Who am I on a soul awareness level? And how am I living that life? How am I infusing my human life with my soul power, my soul understanding, the challenges and gifts that are meant to be met? And how am I doing that to experience profound purpose and happiness? Another trap that I see many get pulled into is relying more on external advice, what everyone else thinks you should do, what society says is real or possible, instead of trusting your internal soul wisdom. And here's the big one. Living in a world that tells you anything you can't see, touch, or prove scientifically isn't real. The moment you start to question that limitation, mind you, I don't mean to put down science here. I love science and fully embrace it. I just mean when you really start to question some of the limitations we have accepted as truth, that's when you meet the fork in the road and begin a choice. Am I living from an understanding that my soul, life, and awareness extends beyond just my human personality or what the external world tells me is true? Or am I staying in an area where I understand that I need to accept the fact that my soul being knows the way, knows the truth, and is willing to live that out from an internal stillness that is within, as opposed to an external one that is dictated to me? Am I living beyond a human personality, or am I staying stuck in a material view of what actually is a spiritual core journey? Let me bring this together for you. When you open yourself up to the awareness of mysteries happening around you, you naturally begin to come to greater alignment and you practice discernment. The transformation happens when you shift from asking, how do I live a spiritual life, to embodying, I am a living life expressed from my deepest soul power and awareness of my highest creative expression. When that shift happens, the powerful soul being rises. You understand why you came to Earth. The external noise doesn't weigh you down or take you off course, and you accept really where the world is, and sometimes even accept responsibility for changing it. This is a beautiful, sacred road that can be walked, and it's when you stand in this power as a conscious, sovereign soul being that really you begin to walk in profound beauty. If you're interested in how to get started with all of this, how to understand the esoterical and mystical roots of what I've been talking about today, or how just to get a jump start on activating this intuitive soul awareness, I want to invite you to access my Intuition Activation Masterclass. This is about an hour and a bit of real substantial teaching. No fluff. Your girl is here to teach. I walk you through some also ancient Egyptian understandings of what that soul power is that I spoke about today, how we bring it into a human incarnation, and how it manifests itself through dreams, intuitive awareness, and many different forms of accessing and activating this energy that I've spoken about. I've included a meditation in also that masterclass to help you activate your wisdom and understanding, as well as a really quick flow framework for interpreting dream soul meetings from your dreams. Something that you can use today and you can really apply. That's a bit of a mini framework is included there. I'll put the link down in the show notes for you so that you can access it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Blessings to you. May you always walk forward knowing you are a powerful, conscious, sovereign soul being, ready to embrace the mysteries that are unfolding all around you. Trust your soul's wisdom. We'll see you next time.